Oh, 7 star citizens, it is once again 3 AM, but CIG can't help but release new vehicles at ungodly times for Australians. So I've just gotten off stream and we've had a chance to look at both the new RSI Lynx and the brand new Tumble Storm. I wanted to talk about them because this is more ground vehicles and we've been getting these more and more every year, but I'm not quite sure we need them. And so I want to know, are they good at all? Are they worth buying? So let's have a look at them. We're going to start with the RSI Lynx because we can actually compare it to the other rover, the Ursa rover, the direct sort of descendant of these two vehicles. So if you didn't know, the RSI Lynx was a vehicle that is actually in a couple of game packages and has been for the last couple of years, but it only has just really started getting development on it. And I think that they have done an absolute wonderful job for what they set out to do. This is a luxury exploration rover. They have essentially taken what they've learnt from the Ursa and just blinged the crap out of it. Made it look really, really nice. They've added in smooth lines, they've added more sight, they've added these really, really nice yellow windows. We've got a bar, we've got these really comfortable chairs, which have retractable trade screens, which if that ever works will be absolutely insanely cool. It also has its own little fridge. The cockpit of the Lynx is very, very sleek. It's got some really nice buttons. It's basically gold standard, as we've noticed that they've been doing with a lot of vehicles coming out recently. It has some unique wheels. It actually rides a little bit lower than the regular rover, but for all intents and purposes in the game right now, it is basically exactly the same as the Ursa rover. It appears to handle the same, although we might find out some differences soon. It almost definitely has the same speed. The only big advantage it has over the regular Ursa rover is the rear lights. If you didn't know, the rear lights of the Ursa rover are unbelievably garbage. And so they've actually had, these really slick lines that go on the back of the Lynx that are much better looking. I was also kind of weirdly taken aback, I don't know why, of the fact that there was a button on the chair that moved the chair. I don't know why that surprised me and got me really excited to use the vehicle, but it was kind of cool. It was just a nice little touch, right? The other thing about the Lynx is it actually does come with a couple of skins. So first off, we have the Moon Shadow, which is probably my favorite skin that they've introduced, replacing the yellow windows with this really nice blue shade, as well as bringing more of the white out on the rest of the panels. We also have the Nebula, which is a purplish sort of shade over all the panels, and then it's hard to tell what that yellow looks like. It's not as aggressive as on the factory standard, it seems. And then we've got the Moonrise, which is probably my least favorite. It just appears to be basically like a chrome version of the factory standard, which I think is kind of boring. So I really, really enjoy that Moon Shadow. Like, imagine using that when you're exploring across Microtech. But of course, what's the point of this vehicle? Well, other than racing, in which I think this is just a better vehicle because, it's got a little bit of a very, very slightly lower profile and just looks cooler, there is no reason to use the ship in game right now. The only reason we use the regular rover outside of racing in game right now is the prison missions. And you don't need to own the car for those. It's just given to you, so it doesn't actually matter that much. Now, obviously the big thing here is, well, this is designed for luxury transport sometime in the future. But I really struggle to think that we're going to be seeing not only luxury transport, but ground-based luxury transport for years and years and years. I feel like it's probably going to be one of the last things added to the game. And if I'm wrong, that's 100% okay. I'm down for that, to be wrong in that situation, for it to release earlier. But I don't really see the need for this vehicle right now. That being said, I think they've done an amazing job. They set out to make this luxury transport, and that's exactly what it is. Moving on to the new concept, which is, I'm gonna say, a little bit disappointing. We have the Tumble Storm. So a lot of you will be familiar with the Tumble Nova tank, or Tonk. The Tonk is a heavy-duty tracked tank, basically, and looks very reminiscent of some modern-day tanks. And the big appeal of that is that its weapon is large. It's a size 5 that feels a lot like a size 6 cannon in a lot of situations, able to 1 or 2 shot a lot of light fighters. And it has been a very interesting vehicle to use in org operations and things like holding down Jumptown. The only sort of small versions of these vehicles that we've really had in the past are the Cyclone variants, and every single one of those requires 2 people to operate appropriately, to operate any of the weapons. Well, now we're going to have the Tumble Storm. This is a single manned tank, very small tank, with a single size 3 unique weapon on it. So it's a brand new weapon from Herson Dynamics. There are a lot of cool things about this vehicle. It is a tracked vehicle, but it does seem to have 4 separate tracks. So hopefully that means it can be a little bit faster on the all-terrain areas. It is noticeably shorter in both length and height than the tank, so you actually should be able to fit it in quite a lot of vehicles, only coming at 10.5 meters in length and 3.6 meters in height. So not enormous, but you're not going to be fitting this on like your Cutlass. It has a very cool interior weapon rack, which actually seems to be connected to the track system, which I find is pretty cool. It's a nice way to use up that space very uniquely. So definitely, you know, we'll be storing weapons in those locations. And overall, the vehicle looks like it's supposed to be quite fast. Obviously, we're not going to be able to test that until it comes to live, which could be years from now. This is a brand new concept. My first impressions are, I sort of know why this exists. I'm just not 100% sure why it exists as a concept right now. There is definitely missing design space in the smaller, solo, combat-capable ground vehicles. All we really have that's in that area is the Dragonfly and the Nox, and those are both hover vehicles. So they're very, very different. We don't have anything where if I were to, as a solo player, go to a location that maybe the anti-air is too hard, maybe it's a no-fly zone, but I need to get in there and I need to be able to blast through. We don't have anything in that area. It's all multi-crew for the most part. You can kind of use the Tonk, but it's not very effective in that situation. You would rather have a second person. So there is a reason for it to exist, but why do we have another ground vehicle? I feel like, yes, we do have this massive backlog of ships and other ground vehicles. It just feels weird for us to get another concept of a ground vehicle that we may not, even when this is released, be able to use it effectively. Ground vehicle combat just does not have a purpose right now outside of organized org things, right? If you're doing an org battle or whatnot, which are incredibly fun. Do not get me wrong. I love a big tank battle. But would we not have been better off, if we needed a concept, would we not have been better off having, you know, another type of interceptor or another heavy fighter, which is an area that I feel like hasn't been explored incredibly well. And of course, you know, that might not be in the grand scope of things. This might be a vehicle that we might see somewhere else. They might actually be wanting to release this soon. Perhaps it has been getting worked on more than we know, and we're not going to really know anything about that until we see some more of that sort of stuff through the roadmap roundups and the monthly reports. But it's really hard for me to justify why both of these vehicles exist. I loved the Fury, and the introduction of the Fury during Invictus has been really, really cool, but it is also a vehicle that has shown there's a lack of content around it for us to use it effectively, and it's the exact same stuff here. I will say, though, that I do think price-wise, if you were looking at buying one with real money, it's not too bad. It's $70 War Bond. We were discussing on stream what we thought the prices were going to be. I personally thought it was going to be about $80 War Bond, so it's actually a fair bit cheaper than I was expecting. Not too bad if you want one for your LTI tokens or what that might be. It also does currently come in 2 paints. So you've got the stock standard paint, which is this sort of yellow tinge, and then you have the Summit paint, which is like a gray and white accented paint. If the Fury and these 2 vehicles are the only things that we get from Invictus, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed this year. We had a really good couple of years of Invictus. You know, we had the Scorpius come around. That was really, really fun and really impactful to the game. It's going to be a little bit disappointing if this is all we get this year. But I'm sure there's also a lot of people that are saying, thank God these are the only things we're getting this year so that they're not putting too much work elsewhere. So overall, you know, I don't actually mind too much. You know, I really liked the Fury, and I think I will enjoy using the Storm once we get to it. I just think that maybe priorities could have been put elsewhere or into other concepts. But once again, I think they've done an absolutely fantastic job with these 3 vehicles they brought out for Invictus. They do what they say on the tin, and they do them well. They're well designed. They look great. So unless there's any more sneaky releases, that's going to be my last video on Invictus. So let me know how you've been enjoying the event. Let me know how many 30Ks you've been experiencing. They've been particularly bad the last couple of days, it seems. And next up is Alien Week. That's not that far away. I think we might see the Santok Yai sneaky release, or we'll probably get some sort of new concept there to sort of, you know, counteract the fact that we got a lot of small vehicles during Invictus. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get notified every single time I release a YouTube video. I've been doing a ton of Star Citizen stuff recently, and I appreciate every single one of you joining in. We've doubled our subscriber count in the last 2 weeks, which has been insane. And it's been also very cool watching all of you guys pop on over to Twitch and hang out with us as we've been doing some events. It's been very, very cool. That's going to be it for me, guys. I've got to edit this. I really wish CRG would release ships at like 10 a.m. Australia time. That'd be great. But unfortunately, this is my life now. So I'll catch you guys around. Have a good one.